You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
The governor in Florida is very, very, very important. It is a governor with tremendous amounts of power.
Just hours away from the Florida primary, what can you expect in the race for governor, Congress, the school board? We'll have our political experts standing by. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We are just hours away from the polls opening and voters picking which Democrat and which Republican will face off this fall in the race for governor. On both sides, the polls have been all over the place. Tonight, the candidates making one last pitch to voters. On the Democratic side, former Miami Beach Mayor Phil Levine has climbed back within points of the lead, and he joins us now by Skype from Miami Beach. Mayor, it is the eve of the primary, and how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very, very good. We've been all over the entire state. Literally, we go from the top to the middle to the bottom. People are very, very excited. And I got to tell you, what they want is somebody with experience, someone who knows how to get things done. And I believe as a successful entrepreneur and as a two-term mayor, I bring that to the table. So I'm very excited.
Depending on which poll you are looking at, either you have a small lead or you're behind by a couple of points. Your rival Gwen Graham was just in Sarasota within the last hour, making her closing appeal to voters on the Suncoast. If I were to ask you, what is the one big policy difference between you and Congresswoman Graham, what would that be?
I don't know if it's a policy difference. It's about who has the experience of actually getting things done. Who can fight Donald Trump? Because the bottom line is the White House in this election. So the last four Democratic nominees for governor all share something in common. They all lost. We need to put someone on the field who actually can fight the White House because they're backing little Ron DeSantis. I call him Radical Ron, Donald Trump's little mini me. So we need to make sure we have somebody who can do it. I have fought Donald Trump for a year and a half of my life. I did it for Hillary Clinton on every TV network in the country. And I don't talk about raising the minimum living wage. I raise the minimum living wage. I don't talk about what I'll do for the environment because I actually became the greatest environmental record by getting the Officer of the Legion of Honor from the President of France for our work on sea level rise. We reformed the police department. So I think it's not about policy. It's who can hit the ground running and beat the Republican nominee. And that combination is Donald Trump and probably Radical Ron DeSantis.
But as you know, the Suncoast, Sarasota, and Manatee counties is a heavily Republican area. So what would you say, should you win this primary, to reach out to Republican voters around here who may not be happy with the Republican nominee, or at least want to know what you're all about how would you improve the state for them and not the same old kind of Democratic candidacy that we've seen in the past?
Because I have a very different journey in my life. I started from nothing. I lived the American dream, and I built some wonderful companies in the cruise ship industry. And I think Republicans like somebody that doesn't come to the table with just a government background. Because I actually believe government's the worst background for government. And I think a lot of Republicans hear that, they understand it. I'm pro-people, and I'm pro-business. I'm not right, I'm not left, I'm forward. I'm honored to be running as a Democrat, but before I'm a Democrat, I'm an American, and I don't believe anyone has a monopoly on good ideas, not Republicans, Democrats, or independents.
Let me ask you this question, because we have been dealing with red tide in ways that we have not seen for many years around here. Red tide and also the green slime from Lake Okeechobee. Do you blame the governor and state government for the situation that we are now dealing with on the Suncoast?
Absolutely, 100%. Can you imagine, when I became mayor, we were filling up with water. I didn't get swept into office. I got floated into office. I attacked sea level rise and invested $500 million to raise our roads, put in pumps, raise our seawalls. If I was the governor, 8 years ago, you had this problem. He has not focused on it because he doesn't care. He's been subject to special interests, which are the agricultural interests, the sugar industry around Lake Okeechobee. So all of a sudden now he's running for Senate, and he's become a born-again environmentalist. I couldn't sleep at night if I didn't attack this problem and figure out how do we fix it. I have some great ideas of how we're going to do it, but the one thing I won't do is nothing. I will take action.
Well, we are looking for answers here. We're talking to Moat Marine Labs. We're talking about the causes of both the red tide and the green slime.
Sure.
Give me one idea that you would have to at least try to mitigate it.
I can give you a few ideas. Well, first of all, why wouldn't we invest millions of dollars with our universities immediately to research it and figure out why it's getting worse? Number two, we know that climate change and the heating of the planet is causing this to get worse. Why wouldn't we actually adhere to the climate change and do the right thing? Why wouldn't we change those political cronies that are on those water management boards and put environmentalists, ecologists, and scientists? Why wouldn't we begin funding the Department of Environmental Protection to start monitoring our water, as opposed to butchering it and defunding it and making the Department of Environmental Exploitation? There are so many things we could do immediately, but this governor has not taken action. If I'm governor, one thing I'll promise you is I will take action.
Mayor Levine, we have just a couple of seconds left. It has been a tumultuous Democratic primary. Are you kind of surprised about how nasty it has gotten from time to time between you and some of the other candidates?
Well, you know what? It really hasn't. You know, I got to say, most of the candidates have been respectful. We had the one bully billionaire from Palm Beach who's kind of like pretty much dropped out of the race already because, you know, he thought fighting Donald Trump was passing the Great Poupon across the table at his country club, which I call Kremlin by the Sea. So otherwise, I think it's been very civil. We have great candidates, and I believe the Democratic Party is going to create a blue wave which will wipe out that red tide.
Okay, Mayor Levine, good luck tomorrow. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Well, what's been happening on red tide lately is the east wind. At least the smell hasn't been making its way well inland as a result of that easterly winds. But one thing it has done, that east wind has caused some big storms to fire up in the afternoon and evening. We saw it over the weekend. We saw it today. We're going to see it for the rest of this work week and into the holiday weekend as well. You can see those storms really firing up, intense lightning near Venice and Nokomis and up to Osprey earlier this afternoon. That spread into Bradenton, northwest Bradenton, also near Palmasola. That rain now is still light, but it is over as far as the intense thunderstorms go over land, still occurring off the coast of Pinellas County right now. There are still a few stray bolts off the coast of Manatee and Sarasota counties, but that's about it. I think we're all over the, as far as any kind of significant weather goes over the mainland, although there's been one lightning strike right here. Again, that can happen back behind the storm after the rain, the heavy rain has moved on through. You can get these bolts that show up. Right now, it isn't a factor in Siesta Key, down into Lake Sarasota, but if you can hear that thunder, you're still close enough to getting hit by these stray bolts that come out from the tops of these storms. Now, the rainfall estimates, notice there wasn't much in Arcadia, Mayaca City, Wauchula, Parrish, all of it pretty much the heavy rain west of I-75, although we did get a little rainfall near I-75 and University, not much in Lakewood Ranch at all, but the heaviest rain by far right there near Fruitville and also near Bee Ridge. We'll have much more on our weather forecast, let you know about this east wind and whether we'll be continuing throughout the rest of the week coming up a little bit later. We'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with a family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, fishing, or biking and hiking. Or play the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy the flavors of the Black Belt. Book your adventure at our lodges or stay in the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
Another pair of satisfied emotions. Looks to me like elation and maybe some amazement. It's part of the Honda Summer Spectacular Event experience. You could say satisfaction comes standard here, just like the Honda Accord comes standard with a luxurious, roomy interior. All at the Honda Summer Spectacular Event.
We see it all the time.
Visit your local Honda dealer and test drive the Honda Accord, 2018's North American Car of the Year.
Attention, do you have Medicare?
Do you want to make sure you have the most benefits and lowest possible out-of-pocket costs? You may be able to lower your out-of-pocket costs and get dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now to find out what you deserve.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald. Over 3 million people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, but there are still many people who don't check to see if they're eligible for more benefits and lower out-of-pocket costs. It's so easy. One simple free call could save you money and get you more benefits. Be smart. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Call now to see if you may be eligible to lower your copays and get extra benefits, including dental and prescription coverage. Don't delay. Call to see if you're able to save money and get more benefits now. Call 1-800-711-7200. Again, call 1-800-711-7200 now.
My name is Blake. I received a heart transplant when I was 2 weeks old. I play defense for the Red Hot Tornadoes. Sometimes my heart starts pounding like faster and faster as I go. I know I have someone else's heart inside me. It makes me feel happy because someone was generous enough to give me a second chance to live.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Welcome back. Democrat Gwen Graham is making her final argument to Suncoast Democrats that she has the best chance to win the governor's race and the governor's mansion for the first time in 20 years. We caught up with the Congresswoman just before the show.
Look, this race has been just the most phenomenal opportunity from May 1st, 2017, when we announced our candidacy, to today. I have been traveling the state, meeting with voters all across the state of Florida. I have been here in Southwest Florida many, many times, and I'm so excited to be back today, the last day before primary voting starts tomorrow. So why should you support our candidacy? Because we are committed to doing what's right for the people of Florida again, and for the state of Florida again, to make sure we're putting in policies that are going to be good for our environment. As we see this blue-green algae on both coasts of the state of Florida, that's a symptom of the illness that has been created through 20 years of one-party rule, Republican rule in Tallahassee, not taking care of our environment, not making sure that we protect our natural resources. We've got to restore the rivers of grass. So all of this, for me, why I'm running for governor, why I'm asking for people's support, is because when I'm in Tallahassee, I'm going to be waking up every day working hard to put in place the policies that are going to make a positive difference in people's lives.
Let me ask you about the green algae and also the red tide. Are you saying specifically there's something that the governor could have done over the last 20 years to make it less severe than it is today?
Not only is there, I mean, they have ignored what needed to be done. We need to have Everglades restoration. We've got to bring more water south from north of Lake Okeechobee through. We've got to deal with septic tanks. We've got to deal with nutrient management, runoff from agriculture. These are all components of what we're seeing now as the release of waters from Lake Okeechobee are hitting the Gulf of Mexico and hitting the red tide and then fueling the red tide, which is causing all of this horrific wildlife kill with porpoises and turtles and fish kills and manatees. And this is going to be something not only from an economic standpoint. I've heard about the challenges that those who run businesses that are focused on tourism are facing here. And I've also heard about the horrific health impacts that this has created. People are showing up in emergency room with all these respiratory issues. This is not whether we can deal with this. It's a must deal with this. This is a crisis management responsibility of the governor that has been ignored for far too long. When I'm governor, we're going to address it and deal with it.
Let me ask you about the Democratic field itself. Mayor Gillum has surged in the polls recently. It seems like a lot of the progressives are with him. Democrats want to win, but what would you say to progressives who have been supporting him and some of the other candidates in terms of why they should that you offer them the best chance to get their agenda?
Well, I'm looking forward to August 29th and for us all to come together, because the 4 other candidates in this race, the 5 of us, any one of us would be better than Ron DeSantis, without a doubt. So we will all come together, and I'm looking forward to all of the supporters of all the other candidates recognizing that together we will win on November 6th. And I think the desire to elect a Democrat is far greater than anything I've ever seen. And then you talk about momentum, I feel it, Alan. All across the state of Florida. I have been all over Florida in the past week, and it's amazing to see the outpouring of excitement and recognition that we are the candidate that can win in November. It's a hollow victory to win in August if you can't win in November. I'm the only Democrat who's actually beaten a Republican in a Republican wave year in a Republican district, and we will do it again in 2018.
But should you win, you then have to win the general election and try to win crossover votes. What would you say the Republicans on the Suncoast who are watching this right now, assuming Congressman DeSantis wins the Republican nomination, or even if it's Adam Putnam, about why they should vote for you and not support the Republican?
Well, it's time that we bring sanity, rational thought, commitment to understanding the issues and making decisions based on fact and in the best interest of the people of Florida. That's what we bring to this race, and it's been amazing. The outpouring I've already felt from people that maybe were supportive of another candidate who recognize that with our win, we have a chance not only to win again in November, but to have good governing again in Tallahassee, to have a governor again that's focused on the issues, being informed on the issues, making decisions that are challenging decisions. None of this is going to be easy. Let's be honest about that. I want to be straightforward. None of this is going to be easy. But doing the hard work of starting to put in place policies that a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, are going to be in the best interest of the people of Florida. I'm proudly endorsed by the Florida Education Association, public education, restoring that promise of public education, bringing technical training down into our schools to align with the jobs that our small businesses and other businesses, larger businesses that we would like to come here to Florida or grow here in Florida are looking for, making sure that we're providing that opportunity to raise our teacher salaries and education support professionals who are not paid nearly enough for the important job that they do, educating the future of Florida. My vision for Florida is to have a Florida where we're all doing well, where quality of life is present. And that's combined, all of these issues are part of the total approach that I bring to this race, which is to have better public education, protect our environment, provide health care. For those who live here who have challenges finding the health care that you would want at a cost you can afford, let's make sure that we're taking the steps that doesn't create that problem for people in their lives.
Congressman, good luck tomorrow.
Win again, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We want to know, we have been inviting all the candidates for statewide office to drop by the trapezoid, and we will continue to do that as we go into the fall campaign. Our conversation continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Ellen. And we have had some big storms around. Get a look at the tower cam from Van Wezel. Looking out, you see those storms approaching. 5 o'clock, the rain came heavy at times, and now all those storms are basically out in the Gulf of Mexico. Still some light rain lingering on land, but most of the heavy rain obviously well offshore and weakening. High pressure is where it's supposed to be now. It hasn't been there all summer long, but it is there now, and that's going to give us that east to southeasterly wind flow throughout most of the day. There will be a breeze developing, a west coast breeze developing in the late afternoon, and that'll be the focal point for the big storms to fire up. That sea breeze will probably penetrate only in a couple of miles, and that's where the bigger storms will have a tendency to develop, and that's when they really strengthen like we saw today. Get a look at the Titan radar now, live sweep. Still showing 1 or 2 lightning strikes around, but most of that well to the northwest of us, and things have really cleared out as far as any heavy rainfall goes. Tonight, there's a chance for an inland storm, but not much. We'll keep it at 20%. By midnight, most areas will be clear, and then to start the day off tomorrow morning, sunshine and a comfortable start. With this rain we see in the evening, has a tendency to cool us off in the overnight hours and to start the day. Showers and storms, though, will be back tomorrow afternoon, and they will be rather heavy at times, producing that frequent lightning that we saw over the past several days now. As far as the futurecast goes, similar conditions expected on Wednesday and continuing throughout the work week. Well, in the tropics, all is quiet right now. On this day, last year, Harvey made landfall into Texas, as we all know, causing all sorts of problems with rainfall amounts in some isolated areas over 50 inches. Nothing going on here now. A couple of tropical waves going off in the Atlantic, but elsewhere things are fairly quiet. In the Pacific, it's very active there. Hawaii just dealt with Lane, and now Miriam has a chance of heading toward the islands. later this week, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. For boaters, it looks like this. Winds will be out of the southeast at 10 knots with a light chop out there. As I mentioned, the forecast for the next 7 days, calling for a good chance for showers and storms all the way through the holiday weekend and into Labor Day. We'll be right back after this.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. In the park on a bench, on the beach on a towel, or on your couch with your kid, your campus is wherever you want it to be. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. You schedule classes around your schedule, and all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. At Independence U, you'll learn from professional instructors with real work experience. You'll get personal support in school and employment assistance when you graduate. Get your degree, but keep your life. That's independence. That's Independence University. So if you're really smart, you'd call now.
Call 1-800-965-2704.
Independence U, for an independent you.
Call 1-800-965-2704.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
A home can be much more than just a house. But for some of our neighbors, home means uncertainty and isolation. At Rebuilding Together, we turn houses into homes and revitalize our communities. Because a neighborhood is more than just houses and streets. It's familiar faces and open arms. Join the movement to ensure everyone can live in a safe home and community. Become a rebuilder today.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins.
And I'm Stephanie Webb. Sarasota County Commissioners are meeting to discuss the recent pushback on plans to build a new hospital in Venice.
We'll tell you what could happen next and what this means for taxpayers tomorrow on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
So we'll watch daytime high temperatures climb up to about 92, and as we head into the afternoon, we can pretty much count on that 50% chance of thunderstorms.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
Back 24 hours from now, we'll know which Democrat will face which Republican in the race for governor. We knew it would be competitive on the Democratic side. We had no idea just how interesting it would be on the Republican side. And joining us for more are Gabriel Hammond of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Zach Anderson, the political editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune, and Sarasota GOP Vice Chair Jack Brill. Let's start with the Democrats because we just had those interviews with Gwen Graham and Philip Levine. And Zach, the polling has been all over the place on the Democratic side. Some polls have Gwen Graham up by 9 points. A new poll has her up by 1, and Gillum surging, but Levine surging. What's your take?
Well, one of the things we're going to wonder after this is we want to see who won the polling primary, because you're right, there's all over the place with these polls, and some polling firms are going to have some egg on their face after this, because obviously there's going to be some people who are really wrong about this. But my take is that this is still a wide open race as we come down to the last day here. I think Gwen Graham has consistently been at the top of the polls. I think you still have to look at her as kind of a front runner. But, I think the top 3 candidates, Philip Levine and Andrew Gillum, has been surging. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those 3 pulled it out at this point.
Gabriel, let me ask you this. In terms of the Suncoast, which Democratic candidate has the big mo?
I see 3 candidates in a dead heat in Sarasota County. Gillum, Levine, and Graham. They all 3 have been through here numerous times over the last month, 60 days. And I see Gillum with a significant surge. He's had a number of national figures come into the state and campaign with him. So has Graham. So is Levine. So it's a total toss-up in Sarasota County.
But how, I mean, that is statewide here. You know, I know that the Young Progressives go for Gillum more, but I know a lot of establishment Democrats on the Suncoast who are Phil Levine supporters.
Yeah, Phil Levine, I think, has done well with the Jewish segment in Sarasota County, which is significant. Graham, I see a lot of support coming from those wealthier Democrats who have financed campaigns historically on the Suncoast. So we're just going to have to see tomorrow.
Jack, I'm going to ask you to handicap the Democratic field.
Based on the polling all over the board, I would say that if you look at our world, you know, it's going to come down to Gwen Graham and Phil Levine, you know, but I could be totally wrong, you know.
I can tell you this, Alan. I think Republicans are most worried about Gwen Graham. They fear more of a centrist candidate, a woman, you know, especially if she goes up against Ron DeSantis. I just was talking to a prominent Republican today who said he thought that Gwen Graham could possibly beat DeSantis. I think they are worried most about her just because of her profile and that she could appeal more to independents. But Gillum, you know, he's been surging, and it would be interesting to see a real liberal candidate versus a real conservative candidate.
I wanted to get your take on that, Jack, but good news. We're going to carry over the governor's discussion to the next block. We will continue our conversation in a moment. Stay with us.
All across America, there are kids going hungry. It sounds crazy, but it's real. It's also a problem we're fixing. Kids who rely on school meals need help in the summer. That means neighborhood meal sites that are easy to get to and free for every kid. When you make breakfast part of a school day, a lot more kids get the chance to eat. These programs work. Over the past few years, 1/3 fewer children in the United States are facing hunger. Let's make No Kid Hungry a reality.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Mark Zupan, part of the U.S. Paralympic rugby team. In my game, movement is everything. I get frustrated when my move is blocked, especially when that guy has no right to be there, even just for a minute. I love a challenge, but I don't like to play this game every day.
A message from the United Spinal Association.
Introducing the ABC7 First Alert Weather Tracker. This all-new mobile weather lab is just one more way. The team you trust is keeping you ahead of the storms. The ABC7 First Alert Weather Tracker, sponsored by Mr. Sparky, America's on-time electrician.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our discussion about the governor's race. Let's turn to the Republican side. And again, Jack, the polling is all over the place, that at least that we knew about it. We knew that the president really made Ron DeSantis, and that from that, he bolted into a pretty good lead there. Now we hear other whispers that in the prevailing week since the Trump visit to Tampa, that Adam Putnam has creeped back into this race. What are you hearing out there?
The last week's polling has shown that a lot of the race has tightened up tremendously. I think also an indication how tight the race is based on that the president did a robocall for Congressman DeSantis today and did a tweet about him. So
another well-heeled Sarasota Republican said to me, "You will know if DeSantis is in trouble if the president comes back to Florida," which he has not.
He has not. So it's hard. Either you're going to take it two ways. One, he's either solidifying it and finishing it off by doing the robocalls, or there's a serious issue, and obviously in today's world, the president just can't hop on a plane and come down. It takes weeks of planning and coordination. So I think this race is a lot closer based on all the polls around than everyone thinks. And I'll give you an example, though. One of the things you got to look at, I look at the numbers in Sarasota County, the voting, and how tight it is, both in AB and early voting. But interesting little stat, in CD17, which is the Stubbe-Gonzalez race, in the 9 counties, 8,500 high propensity voters that have voted in every election in 14 and 16 still have not voted in tomorrow's race.
Zach,
sort of interesting to see.
Real quick question, real quick answer. Did Trump come down here too early for DeSantis?
I don't think so. I think he came and goosed him kind of at the right time, and the narratives in the last month has been all in DeSantis' favor, which is what you want heading into the election. I mean, you could argue that you'd like to have him down here, the week before maybe, but the president's schedule can be difficult to arrange like that. But I would just point out that even the polls that show the race tight still have DeSantis leading by a few points. Hasn't been a poll that really has come out, a credible poll that has showed Putnam leading. So, and if you look at the margin of error, some of these polls that allegedly show the race tight, it could be a lot bigger lead for DeSantis.
Gabe, real quick, and then I want to move on to the congressional races, but does it make a difference to Democrats whether it's DeSantis or Putnam?
The Democrats are going to be in great shape either way. One, because if DeSantis gets in, Trump is a damaged president. If Putnam gets in, the Trump base might go back to sleep because Trump's candidate was not put into the general election. What I will say about DeSantis is I think his campaign might have peaked when Trump came and spoke in Tampa about 35 days ago, and I see momentum for DeSantis petering off. His name has disappeared from the headlines for the last few weeks.
Right, and Putnam has money and DeSantis doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if that could be Putnam's saving grace, that he has a strong campaign organization, he's out there identifying his supporters and trying to get them to the polls, and he's advertising extensively.
And don't forget the undecideds. There's still a large number of undecideds as of last week.
Okay, let's talk about the race in the 17th Congressional District, the GOP primary. It has really been a bloodbath among two Republicans, Julio Gonzalez and Greg Stubbe. And we have to say this is a overwhelmingly Republican district, so the Democrats, at least the conventional wisdom, does not have much, have a lot of chances here. But as the party vice chair, Jack, this has been really difficult for the party to see these two guys go at it in the way that they have.
I look forward to tomorrow at 7:01. We actually can go start going out against Democrats again, and the primary season's over with. Yes, this is whoever wins the primary tomorrow will be our next congressperson in CD17. The numbers just show that happening. It has been a very, very contentious campaign on both sides. And there's actually a third candidate now. I don't even know how Bill Akins is going to factor. He might get 3 points, 2 points. Who knows? I will say he's been robocalling every day all around Sarasota. So who knows? But this race, and I mentioned about the high propensity voters, but you've got a lot of factors going into this thing. So it's hard to say.
You say, and it's probably true, that one way or the other there will be a Republican that is the next congressman from the 17th. But Zach, this year, in terms of the 16th, that's Vern Buchanan's seat, which he has been in office for about 10 years. The Democrats are once again targeting him. They have made David Shapiro on their red to blue list, not Jan Schneider. They're taking sides in that primary. Is there any difference in the terms of the conventional wisdom? Is this a bridge too far for Democrats, or could this be the year?
I think you look at the amount that the Democrats are investing in this race, and Shapiro has raised $1.3 million. There's an outside group that has spent roughly $1 million on this seat that is aligned with the Democrats. They're not explicitly coordinating with Shapiro's campaign, but they're run by Democrats. You don't go in and spend $1 million, I don't think, unless you think that you have a shot at this seat. I think it's still a stretch for them. This is a pretty GOP-leaning seat, but if there's a good wave, you never know what could happen, and Shapiro has set himself up with pretty strong fundraising.
I want to change the subject again to the U.S. Senate race. There is really no significant primary here, but there is a huge race between Governor Rick Scott and Senator Bill Nelson here. And Gabe, I saw a story today saying that Democrats in Florida and in Washington are incredibly concerned about the race that Bill Nelson is running. He is running it like an old school Democrat, keeping his head down, not campaigning a lot, and that Governor Scott is cleaning his clock right now.
Yeah, well, there's one thing the media likes to do, and that they like to say that races are competitive, even if they're not. The thing you have to remember is Rick Scott has squeaked by in 2010 and 2014. 2010 in particular, which was a very favorable year for Republicans, only won that race by 1 point against Alex Sink. Now he's up against longtime incumbent Bill Nelson, who's very popular, particularly in the northern part of the state where Republicans rely on for significant vote share. So I give Nelson the lead going into the last 2 months.
He hasn't been ahead in a poll in the last 35 to 45 days. I mean, the momentum, he's not even, he looks like he's trying to catch up, and we're only 60 days out. So I really think the one thing you're right, Governor Scott has barely broken 50%, so he's got to get more than that this time. But I think that the momentum and just the lead that is already being built, that everything that keeps going the way it's going, it's going to take a lot for Bill Nelson to come back. I think Rick Scott's got a really, in fact, I'm planning on him being our next U.S. Senator, but I think, you're just watching this race and the momentum of it. Bill Nelson is, he looks like a deer in headlights right now.
Alan, Democrats, if they're being honest, are nervous about this seat. Rick Scott went from being one of the least popular governors in America to one of the most popular governors in America. He's been relentless in pushing this jobs message. He's proven to be an indefatigable campaigner. He's out there all the time. He's reaching out to Latino voters. There's polls that show that he's doing quite well with Hispanic voters compared with other GOP candidates. So I think that Democrats are nervous about this race.
One thing I have to rebut, and that is Scott has spent a lot of money, his personal fortune. We're talking about $7, $5, $8, $9, $10 million so far, and we're still 2 months out. Nelson's barely turned on the spigot, so we have to look at this.
Why would you allow your opponent to build this kind of momentum and hold your powder?
Nelson has been a very popular senator for many, many years, so he doesn't need to redefine himself. The voters know Bill Nelson.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment, and we'll talk about the local school board races, and we'll have final thoughts, so stay with us.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
utility bills, mortgages, car payments. Those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TruStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TruStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now before it's too late.
Make us swim! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the school board races. And joining us tonight are Gabriel Hammond of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune, and Sarasota GOP Vice Chair Jack Brill. And we've done debates on every single race in the school board in both Sarasota and Manatee, but we really have some barn burners here. And let's start with Sarasota, where it turns out that Bridget Ziegler, the chairwoman of the Sarasota Board of Education, has a real race on her hand with Nick Guy here. You know, Zach, Bridget has been a very popular person in town and on the school board, but is she nervous tonight?
I think so. These are some of the most interesting races in our region. You know, there's been a lot of turmoil in the school district over the last 18 to 24 months. Questions about the school security issue and the direction that they've gone with that, and other issues. And I think that the incumbents have to feel a little bit nervous, because I think there is sort of a sense that, you know, the board members have not been able to get along and do what's best for the county to some degree. Now, you know, this is a GOP-leaning county, so her opponent is a Democrat. I think he's going to have a bit of an uphill climb here. But the numbers, the early voting and absentee ballot numbers, look pretty good for Democrats. You know, Republicans have a significant voter registration advantage in Sarasota County, but Democrats are, I think, less than 1,000 votes behind them in early and absentee voting. And if you factor in the nonpartisan affiliated voters, you know, who knows where those races are going to go.
And then we could talk about Shirley Brown and Karen Rose. And I know that the Republicans have really been behind Karen Rose, even though it is a race that doesn't deal with party here. Do you feel, Jack, that you have an opportunity there?
We do. And you know, to Zach's point, 58,842 people have voted so far from all three, you know, parties, and this is the general for that race. So with that, you know, you've got a lot of NPAs because of Karen's background and the things she's done and the accomplishments. That could be a real factor and a positive for Karen Rose, is the turnout, because it is a general. You know, it's not.
Gabriel, I know that you are friends with Shirley Brown here. Should she be nervous tonight?
It's a close race, so depending on who you're backing, you definitely need to go out and vote tomorrow if you already haven't. And I will say, if you go back to the Caroline Zucker race and Teresa Mast race, you saw the Democrats put Caroline Zucker over the top. They had that Sarasota Classified Teachers Association and Sarasota County Democratic Party.
The difference, hold on a second. The difference this time around is that the teachers union or association is backing the Republican.
Exactly, and that's why it's competitive, because you have longtime incumbent Shirley Brown, who was in the legislature for 8 years and has been on the school board for a long time, against this wall of money that has come at her. So quite frankly, it's a total toss-up at this point.
Okay, we have less than 2 minutes left, but I want to get your final takes on things in terms of final thoughts. And Zach, what are we going to learn tomorrow night?
Well, we're going to learn how much sway Trump has over the Republican Party in Florida. I mean, that's one of the most fascinating things. For presidents do not get involved in primaries like this. This is just very, very unusual for him to come and endorse a candidate for governor and to really put his stamp on this election. He is on the ballot in a lot of ways, and it'll be fascinating to see if his candidate, if his endorsement is able to put his candidate over the top.
So, Jack, let me ask you this, because I know from talking to Republicans on the Suncoast that in terms of party activists and the infrastructure, most of you are behind Adam Putnam. But should Ron DeSantis win this primary, is everybody going to fall in line?
Absolutely. We will do everything we can to defeat the Democratic nominee for governor. That's an easy question to answer. So we will be unified on that. And I think the one other takeaway you got to look at for tomorrow, we're on record to have a high turnout primary, probably one of the highest we've had in recent history that we all know of. We could be breaking the 30%, and that's a lot higher than 16 and 14.
One way or the other, that is good news, because that's what our democracy is supposed to be about.
All for it. So it'll be really telling to see, especially with the nonpartisan races, because in addition to the Karen and Bridget, you've got that four-way primary in school board.
Gabriel, what's your takeaway?
What the five-way, highly competitive Democratic primary, gubernatorial primary at the top of the ticket has done is motivate Democrats, and they're voting in these down-ballot races. And what we see in Sarasota County, despite the Republicans having a 40,000 voter advantage in raw registration, we're seeing the Democrats in a virtual tie with the Republicans going into Election Day tomorrow. And it's going to be close.
The Republicans all come out on Election Day.
All right. I'm sorry, what was your point there?
Look, we've always had a huge turnout on Election Day. Our voters come out on Election Day and have historically in Sarasota County.
And Alan, one thing a lot of people are really going to be looking at is the turnout. Is there going to be a blue wave? How energized are Democratic voters this year? I think that is one thing that we're really going to be able to see to some degree in these results, the turnout numbers.
Well, that's the question here. How can we learn about whether Republicans around here are in real trouble just by looking at primary results tomorrow night?
I'll tell you how you know that. Margaret Good was going into Election Day tied Democrats versus Republicans numbers-wise. Republicans outnumbered Democrats by thousands of votes on Election Day, yet Margaret Good tied on Election Day, meaning a lot of Republicans are looking to vote for Democrats because of what's going on in the White House.
We'll leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Before we go, a few words on the passing of John McCain. Respect. There are statesmen who earn admiration from those who don't share their political philosophy. John McCain was heroic in war, politics, and how he led his life. He was unafraid to call out those who put themselves above their country, no matter what party they claimed to lead. I had the honor to interview him when he ran for president. I am not afraid to say that I admired the man. And to those, even members of his own party, who voiced their disdain for him and his positions of principle he took over the last few years, well, that says more about you than it does about him. Thank you for your service, John McCain. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Gabriel Hammond of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune, and Sarasota GOP Vice Chair Jack Brill. When we return, the latest details after a video gamer, opened fire at a tournament in Florida. That story is coming up in primetime headlines. But right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
A very active afternoon and evening here along the Sun Coast as a line of intense storms developed along the sea breeze and then pushed on toward the Gulf of Mexico, and now leaving just some light rain across the mainland, but still some showers well offshore. A beautiful sunset tonight with some brilliant colors out there. High pressure has returned to the position it normally is in during the summer months, and that's providing us that collision of the west coast sea breeze and that easterly wind that we saw today. Most of the storms winding down. In Highlands County, still some activity there. That'll be over here in the next half hour or so. Light rain lingering now in western portions of Manatee County. As I mentioned, there could be a few inland storms still lingering over the next hour or so, but generally fair skies overnight. we do it all again tomorrow afternoon and evening. And it looks like if you want to vote in the afternoon and evening, you might want to consider doing it in the morning. 77 degrees our current temperature, so it's cooled down somewhat. No problem with heat index. That's the benefit of these afternoon showers. They keep us a little bit cooler during the evening hours, and we're going to see that. Well, it wasn't too cool before the rains got in. 94 degrees, not close to a record, but well above the average of 90. And the forecast tomorrow, once again, calling for temperatures to warm to 90 degrees or slightly above that, especially inland. And we'll see a good deal of sunshine in the morning, followed by some clouds rolling in the afternoon. Now, we'll start to see a few spotty showers at 3. It becomes a little bit more intense as that east wind collides with that west coast sea breeze beginning, say, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, nationally, the storm track has shifted well to the north now with that high pressure building over the mid-Atlantic coast states. And with that in play, it's really warming things up all the way across the central U.S. and to the northeast. Look at Boston. High tomorrow in Boston, 96 degrees expected. 92 in Cleveland, even Toronto up to 90. For boaters, winds will be out of the southeast. Not much of a west coast breeze developing until later in the afternoon. Seas running 2 feet or less with a light chop out there in the bays and inland waters. And the water temperature now at 88 degrees. Expect a few late day storms, so boaters keep that in mind. If you're going to be going out boating, especially in midday, you're going to see some storms rolling across the Gulf of Mexico. We had 2 special marine warnings today. I suspect there will be some more tomorrow afternoon and evening. The rain chances staying extremely high right on in through the work week and beyond into the holiday weekend. Expect a good deal of afternoon and evening thunderstorms with highs in the upper 80s to low 90s. We'll be right back after this. Stick around.
It's hard to see when you're outside at night. It's time for the Atomic Beam Sunblast, the new solar-powered light that's super bright. Atomic Beam Sunblast lets you add a light anywhere, and the atomic solar panels charge the built-in lithium-ion battery quickly. Then the 180-degree motion sensor turns on the light when you get near and automatically turns off when you disappear. Look, here's a best-selling outdoor solar light, and here's the super bright Atomic Beam Sunblast. Get the super bright Atomic Beam Sunblast for only $19.99. But wait, call right now and you can double your order and get a second Sunblast, plus our best-selling Atomic Beam Flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. That's 2 Atomic Beam Sunblasts and the Atomic Beam Flashlight. Call now.
Call 1-800-431-6640. That's 1-800-431-6640. Or visit mysunblast.com. So call 1-800-431-6640. Order now.
Attention. Do you have Medicare? Do you want to make sure you have the most benefits and lowest possible out-of-pocket costs? You may be able to lower your out-of-pocket costs and get dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now to find out what you deserve.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald. Over 3 million people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, but there are still many people who don't check to see if they're eligible for more benefits and lower out-of-pocket costs. It's so easy. One simple free call could save you money and get you more benefits. Be smart. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Call now to see if you may be eligible to lower your copays and get extra benefits, including dental and prescription coverage. Don't delay. Call to see if you're able to save money and get more benefits now. Call 1-800-711-7200. Again, call 1-800-711-7200 now.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Checking primetime headlines, the gaming community is mourning the loss of 2 gamers who were gunned down during a tournament in Florida. Meanwhile, we're learning new details about the man who opened fire yesterday inside that Jacksonville venue. Omar Jimenez has more on the investigation.
Next thing you know, pop, 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 pop. It was the scariest thing in my life.
From the hospital bed, survivors are speaking out about escaping bullets during an online gaming tournament. The event was being live streamed when gunfire erupted. Competitive players of the football video game Madden were in Jacksonville hoping to earn a chance to compete for large cash prizes. Now, they're mourning the loss of 2 of their own.
You know, for him to come to a gaming event where, as his mother, I thought he'd be safe, and he wasn't. It's insane.
While authorities have not released the names of the 2 players who died, the gaming community is reporting their names and paying tribute. One of them is 27-year-old Taylor Robertson from West Virginia, who had won the national tournament 2 years ago. The other was 22-year-old Eli Clayton, a former high school football player from California. 9 other people suffered gunshot wounds, and 2 people were injured while running away.
It makes me never want to, leave the house anymore now. It's scary.
Authorities say the gunman took his own life, and while police have not released a possible motive, witnesses say they believe the attack was targeted.
So I believe it was jealousy over some being successful and him barely making it.
Finally, more voters are coming out for Florida's primary compared to previous years. Nearly 1.86 million votes had been cast as of this morning, with almost 1.2 million citizens voting by mail and another 650,000 using early voting sites. Democrats used a final weekend to surge to surpass Republicans in early voting by 20,000. Meanwhile, the GOP led in absentee votes cast by 65,000. Primary contests are being held statewide in the races for governor, agricultural commissioner, and the Attorney General, along with a host of congressional, legislative, and local races.
The gubernatorial race in both sides, a lot of competition, a lot of money being spent, so that engenders people's willingness to vote.
Nearly 1.4 million vote-by-mail ballots had not yet been returned to election supervisors as of Monday morning to be counted. The ballots must be turned in by 7 p.m. local time tomorrow. Get out and vote. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.